Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In-Depth Guides. Today's episode, we are focusing on Tateru. Here's the disclaimers. You can pause the video and read if you haven't yet. So, Tateru is just a plain neutral Temtem. Its type really isn't special. I mean, neutral as a type, more than anything, is good offensively because it can hit everything other than mentals for neutral damage. And having stab on all the neutral moves in the game is pretty cool. Most of them are higher damage because none of them can ever be super effective. But having one weakness with no resist isn't great defensively. I mean, it's alright. Not being weak to a whole lot is good. The power level of neutrals kind of sways with the power level of mentals in the patches. So, in this patch, Doroboros is super popular. So neutrals haven't been fantastic, but having only one threatening mental does open up some play. But that's that. Looking at Tateru's stats, for the longest time, Tateru had the highest stats of any Tem in the game, like the base stat total. But it's gotten a few nerfs recently. It still has pretty insane bulk. 79 base HP with 66 in each defense is crazy good. Its stamina is absolutely nuts, but I mean, the only time you're really going to notice stamina is if it's like really low. Having this much stamina is almost overkill. It's nice to have because lots of Tateru's moves are high stamina cost, but in the end it doesn't change a whole lot. This speed is like right at the average, if not just below. I think the average is like 62 or something speeds of like every Tem in the game. I guess I don't know offhand. But like Tateru's not a speedy Tem. You don't want to invest speed unless you're calculating for something specific, which I'll touch on later. Its attack is pretty solid. Nothing crazy, but it's definitely something that'll put in work with the high damaging moves that Tateru has. And special attack's just the off. The attack stat it doesn't normally use. Yeah, Tateru's fully evolved. It's got two traits, both of which are generally considered useless. Soft Touch does have some use because it's able to deal damage to Tems that are sleeping without waking them up. The damage boost is almost negligible. It's only 12%, but being able to attack a Tem that's sleeping without waking them up is actually kind of a huge bonus. As I mentioned in the last video about Grandpa, this combo specifically took over an entire meta for slightly different reasons, but it is a nice combo to just be able to deal some damage to sleeping Tems. So if you pair Tateru with something that can put Tems to sleep, it does have some good use. Resilient is pretty niche. I've gotten some good use out of it experimenting in the past because being able to like get rid of the overexertion penalty and gain the 3 speed boost is basically like if you were to die or live on a sliver of health and die to the OX, you can come back and get one more hit off, which can flip games. It's a decent trait on like Bruiser Tateru, but most of the time Tateru feels kind of like a combo support role. If we look at its moves, Scratch, story move. Tenderness is actually a really good debuff move, but normally you want to use it on a faster Tem, and Tateru just doesn't have the speed in order to get a lot of use out of it. Plus it's on a hold, so I can't recommend using Tenderness, but it's technically there as an option. Nibble, Heavy Blow, Sand Splatter, all story moves. Rage. So Rage is actually a very important move that Tateru learns, and it's essential in the Rage Schween Tateru combo. I'll touch on that a bit later. But basically the only time you'll want to run Rage is if you're running it next to Schween, and you can get the attack buff without getting the defense loss due to Schween's ability Guardian. It's almost more of a thing with Schween than it is with Tateru, but the two as a combo is really powerful, and if it's not properly dealt with, can run through an entire game. Fierce Claw is it's funny because Tateru has so many like slightly increasing in damage, just neutral 0 hold damaging moves. Fierce Claw is the most stamina efficient but reasonable damage option. The other one is extra energy slam down here, but this one has way higher stamina cost. So depending on if you value stamina or damage more, it's going to determine which one you choose between the two, but in most cases, you're still going to go Extra Energy Slam over Fierce Claw. So the option is there to save stamina, but in general, I would not recommend it. Lullaby is a sleeping option, but Tateru just doesn't perform well as a sleep support. It's slow, this move is low prio, but it's there as an option. I feel Tateru actually has so many ridiculous support moves, as you'll see some of them coming up. But I just think that fighting Lullaby fighting for a slot it's not going to make it. There's just better options. Sacrifice is a cool move, but with Tateru's defensive stats, it's not often that it wants to click it. It's more like a last-ditch effort, but on like a support-oriented Tateru, it is an option, and I have run it before to some amount of success. Bestial Charge is basically your neutral spread move. It's actually pretty good nowadays. It's a pretty low stamina cost. It's an option, but so if you're looking for a spread move on your Tateru, this is going to be the one you go with. Might be the only one. I think it is, yeah. But it's definitely a good move. Cooperation, another niche support move that I would almost never run. Kind of interesting because it balances out stamina. So if you with Tateru's monstrous stamina stat, you could actually invest more stamina in it and get like when you use cooperation, you can give your ally a ton of stamina. Also with a slight amount of heal. I think it's Tateru's only way to heal as well. So it's like you're not going to want to click the move often, but if you're running a team and you run out of stamina issues or stamina items, and you want another way to give stamina to an ally, it's just a way to do it. It's kind of interesting. And also, if you do invest a bunch of stamina, or even if you don't, Extra Energy Slam, it's a really cool move. It has some convoluted formula here for calculating damage based on stamina. That I couldn't explain even if I tried. But basically, if you have more stamina, this move does more damage. So it takes both stamina and the attack stat into account when it deals damage. But in general, it's 90 base power normally. Even with max stamina, max attack, which I ran for a while for fun, it still does less damage than Major Slash. So it's just not worth investing all that much stamina unless you're doing some other shenanigans with cooperation. But Extra Energy Slam still your best and go-to turn one higher damage neutral option. Because even with like base stamina and the whatever stamina invest you would normally invest, it still increases the damage. So even though it says 90 here, it's a little bit higher of a BP. Just nothing crazy. Solid turn one option. Turbo Choreography, once again touched on this in the last video. Being a Tem that learns Turbo Choreography that is not weak to electric means that you can do some really nice combos to pair with other wind types, so you have the synergy and both get the speed boost. And Tateru is really bulky, so it can actually swap in, get the hold off, and make use of this move really well. Plus, if you use it with Grandpa and have soft touch, that combo is available. Because Grandpa's best thing is being fast and putting things to sleep with hypnosis. And Tateru allows the turbo to make Grandpa faster. Wake Up, Tateru's not a good user. Nox Bomb. Nox Bomb's really fun coverage. There's not a whole lot of Tems that get attack types outside of their actual type. So the fact that a neutral type like Tateru gets Nox Bomb is really cool. It's actually a really solid move, 100 damage for a reasonable stamina cost, 0 hold. It's really good on like bruiser Taterus that aren't really trying to support a whole lot. Just so you can threaten more types. Confiscates, I feel like this is on like every time I've covered so far. It's just don't use it. It's just not in a good place. I don't know if it ever has been. Cage is a niche support move that's pretty cool. Ultra Prio, trapping opponents. I've caught lots of people off guard with it. It's not something that Tateru often runs, but it is a support option if you're looking for a cage user that's kind of bulky. Rend needs some help. It's not a good move right now. Don't use it. Major Slash. This is one of probably the best, most consistent damage option the Tateru has, and absolutely insane 150 base power on one hold. It's kind of expensive stamina wise, but Tateru's got the stamina. It can take it. So, and this just does tons of damage with any amount of offensive invest. So you'll want to run this move probably on every single Tateru that you play. Rush, yeah, this is more or less a support option nowadays, or at least with Tateru. You're not going to be doing lots of combos with Tateru where you get something within 40 health of dying and then you're able to finish it off. But if you do want a Tem with Rush on the team, Tateru is an option. I can't recommend it. Tateru has so many other moves that fill better niches, and Rush just isn't the. It's just not generally used often enough. It's just you OX yourself after you use it. And Tateru is already slow, so I don't know. But it's also kind of a good finisher because Tateru is so slow. I used it for a little while and it felt alright. It's just probably got really good use once every 10 games. Other than that, it was just like 40 damage chip whenever Tateru was about to die. Held Anger. So this is actually a pretty solid move nowadays. It's on 3 hold, but it's super low stamina cost and even higher damage than Major Slash, which is nuts. Tateru is super bulky, so it's pretty often that it can get off the hold, so it can get this move off usually once per game. Especially if you're playing on a turbo team with Grandpa and you're hypnosising one of the slots. So your opponents have to consider, do they want to kill the Grandpa or the Tateru? If they choose to target the Grandpa, then Tateru gets its holds off and high damage, and then it can just get this this nuke off. It also helps Tateru, like you can reasonably calc stamina for a 4-turn move rotation, with this being the 4th move, just because it's only 16 stamina. So I'll show that in my TV spreads later on. Inner Spirit, it's just like a special melee move, so like it's technically a coverage move, but like it uses Tateru's worst offensive stat. You just don't want to run it. Like it looks super tempting, but don't run it. It's even with like knockback, the next move where you have technically another strong special move, and this one's even got stab bonus. Well, not stab bonus, it's just stab, but you don't want to run special Tateru. There's just better Tems for this sort of thing, and Tateru is not it. Perfect Jab is a fantastic support move that Tateru has access to. It's just basically some chip damage for a middling stamina cost, but it lowers the opponent's defense by 2. So this is what I was talking about with like speed tiering on Tateru. Like if you have Perfect Jab on Tateru, you'll want Tateru to be faster than most of the Tems that are going to be taking advantage of the defense drop. So while Tateru itself doesn't really make use of the speed, you just want it to be faster than your other Tems, so you can get on tempo defense drops. It can be kind of important. Now we'll jump over to the builds. There's actually quite a few this time. Like Tateru is so flexible, but honestly, there's very few ways to build Tateru that it's actually consistent. So while Tateru has so many options that we just went through, it's just there are kind of like objectively better options, or just ones that have seen more success. The first one here, this is kind of the typical turbo set. Extra energy slam for just turn 1 damage because Tateru likes being able to deal something turn 1, but it's also very reasonable to swap Tateru in to get holds off and then just turbo right away since it's bulky and can eat hits. Major Slash is the damage option I talked about. Held Anger was also the other damage option. It's just really high. And with the build here, you can see it's only 73 stamina, and this or 73 invest to reach 91 stamina, and this offers a 4-turn rotation of Extra Energy Slam, Major Slash, Turbo, and Held Anger. So it's super reasonable. I would recommend it if you're running this set because Tateru can stay on the field so long, especially if it gets ignored. It's super bulky. You basically want max HP, then some defensive item. Either first aid kit or nut bar works here. but you can't put like two nut bars on the same. I just wanted to say they're both kind of interchangeable on Tateru here. The speed invest to reach 190. So 190 after a synergy turbo choreography, so you'd be +3, makes you outspeed max speed Tems with 100 base speed. So that would be Ukama, Oshiara, and Gialis. So it's basically like the breakpoint of 221 that most of you have seen, but except you, since you get +3 speed from Synergy Turbo, you actually only need to invest 190. It's only 140 TVs though. It's still quite a bit for a Tateru, which normally isn't going to be super fast. But I think it's a nice breakpoint to hit. And then the attack is just fill. There's nothing specific for it. Like Tateru still wants to deal damage, especially with like Major Slash and Held Anger. But it's not like the Tateru in this set is primarily focused around dealing damage. The main thing is it wants to create space to use turbo and do speed tiering. The damage is kind of bonus afterwards. And then soft touch is the trait because, like I said, the grandpa combo. This one here is the rage combo with Shuin. So I should mention first that I have not actually done this combo before. So it could be a little different, but I've faced it plenty of times. I think I have a general idea of how most people play it. So essentially, you want rage for sure. Beyond that, Major Slash is your high damage option. Being able to rage, get +4 attack, and then do a Major Slash is nuts. Absolutely nuts. So much damage. Can do like 70-80% to a bulky Tem just on a neutral hit. Bestial Charge is for a cheaper option, but also spread, because after that +4 Major Slash, chances are they'll survive on, like I said, 20-30% health. Bestial Charge does that, and does more to the opponent, so that your Held Anger the next turn can finish it off. And because of the cheap stamina cost of these moves, you can, once again, calc for a 4-turn rotation super reasonably, because you only need to hit 81 stamina, and it's only 37 TVs. It's actually technically less than that. I think it's actually a 5-turn rotation if you hit 81, but I see no reason not to. It's just crazy good value. So I guess when I was said that it doesn't make too much use of Tateru's 80 super high stamina, I guess I was wrong. It actually does make really good use of it. With these, because it's got so many cheap moves. It's also got expensive ones in Major Slash, but you can make stuff work. It's just Tateru is super flexible. One of the most flexible Tems in the game, I think. As far as the rest of the spread goes, max HP, because the idea here is, so Shuin has the trait Guardian, which prevents negative stat drops. Rage buffs attack by 4, but also lowers defense by 3, so it actually prevents the defense lower. And since Shuin's going to be on the field, Shuin's main move it's going to click is Fluid Barrier. So the idea is to make Tateru super bulky, so it can't be killed easily. And then with the attack boost it gets from Rage is what it uses to run through teams. So Fluid Barrier only gives +2 special defense. So I think that most people invest some amount of TVs in defense, so that kind of the special defense and the defense are almost balanced out. And then you can just take a lot of hits. Like you would have to land 4 or 5 hits into Tateru to even kill it, especially with the nut bar healing. Every hit heals it for an extra 5% health. So it just ends up being super tanky with insanely high damage attack. The attack invest and even this invest are completely random. It's not like I hit certain breakpoints with it. I just wanted a certain amount in defense and some amount in attack, because every amount you invest in attack gets doubled after the rage, because +4 attack is plus 100% damage essentially. So that's kind of the idea. Just pair it next to Shuin, click Rage, and then just run through teams with this rotation of moves, however, in any order, basically. This next set here is basically the Bruiser Tateru. Tateru lost Stone Ball. I liked Stone Ball in place of Perfect Jab on this set, but Perfect Jab is still a really good option if you're. So it can also be. It can not only Perfect Jab for itself, since it's also a physical attacker, but also anything slower than it gets value from it. Major Slash, just the main damaging option. Extra Energy Slam, also the neutral option, just for turn 1 damage. Nox Bomb for coverage. There's so many Tyranax around, and though it's not actually great, you can do a third of a Tyranax health, of a typical Tyranax health, with 1 Nox Bomb. And you'll be faster than it, so with some other chip, like a Nox Bomb plus Major Slash, actually kills super effective, or kills a Tyranac. So it's worth mentioning that Major Slash does more damage with Nox Bomb, even if it's super effective, because with Stab, same type attack bonus, you deal 1.5 times damage. So the base power of Major Slash is actually 225, compared to super effective Nox Bomb, which is 200. So even if it's super effective, if you want to make sure you deal a little bit of extra damage, click Major Slash. But otherwise, you can save stamina by clicking Noxious Bomb, which has lower stamina cost than Major Slash, and also no hold, because if you use Major Slash, then it's on hold. And it's kind of unfortunate. So as far as the build goes, it's just stamina for a 3-turn rotation. It's I calc for Extra Energy Slam, Major Slash, Extra Energy Slam. You could invest like 2 more points, so you, in case you were to swap in Tateru, get a Major Slash, Slam, Major Slash. But I think 83 is fine. HP, it's basically just max out HP with attack fill and then resistance badge to deal more damage with Major Slash. You could do max attacks and HP fill. It's kind of just whatever. This is basically just a more damage oriented Tateru build. With this one, I actually found I prefer Resilient, because that way it doesn't require you to add like sleep users to your team. And with the high stamina cost of Major Slash and Extra Energy Slam, if you survive something and with low health, with OX to death, you get the same boost off. You could even get like a Perfect Jab off after the Resilient procs, because you're super fast. I don't know, it can flip games. It's just, if you're not running Tems that have sleep on your team, run Resilient. If you are running sleep Tems, run Soft Touch. That's essentially the rule of thumb. Like, even though Resilient will be useless, like, I don't know, 19 out of 20 games, maybe not that much. Maybe it's more like 1 out of 10. But on the one, on that one game when you forget it exists and it procs, it is super useful. It also has some counterplay against like exhaust strategies. They're not super common, but stuff like Plague, like Volphy Plague, can make you take even more OX damage, and Resilient actually gives you a boost off of that. And then this last set here, this is just kind of an idea of what a full support Tateru would look like. It's not something I've run before. It's not even something I've seen somebody run. But the idea is just like insane bulk invest, like nothing offensively. You would actually want some amount in speed here for a Perfect Jab. Probably here as well, you'd just take some out of either the attack or HP, whichever one you're filling. But just to make sure you outspeed whichever Tems you're trying to get on tempo defense drops for. But then you also have Turbo for speed. Because if you Turbo, you're not only making yourself faster, but your ally. And then as long as you outspeed, you can get a sacrifice off. And it's basically your opponent can have lower defense, your ally can have higher speed, and then you have the option of also giving your ally insane defense. And the Major Slash is just a high damage option, because there's no reason not to run it on any Tateru you play. But yeah, unless you're really like hoping for like a neutral support, I don't think this is the set you want to go with. I think one of these 3 is going to be the main ones. Just to go over it once again quickly, this is the Turbo set paired with Grandpa typically. This is the Rage set, always paired with Shween. I would not run this if you're not running Shween on the team. And this is the General Bruiser set for if you want to run Tateru but you're not running either of those combos. It's also an option if you want to run, or if you want a Noxious Bomb user that isn't a toxic type. I didn't do the calcs, but it might be worth calcing to see. I'll do the calcs quick. So Water Cutting Lily is a with double Koish. is a common strategy nowadays because Water Cutting Lily has insane damage, and it gets boosted from Synergy Adept, which is Koish's trait. I guess I'll just throw this one on there. So even with just max HP, Tateru actually lives double Water Cutting Lily, even if there's a War Drum. And I'm sure it can one-shot with a Nox Bomb, because most Koishas don't invest or defensively, yeah. So it actually is a counter to the Koish strategies that is not a toxic type. So just something to think about there. Let's see. I've already kind of gone through good pairs because this is Grandpa, this is Shween. The other ones don't particularly have anything. Perfect Job, just like any slower physical attackers. But if you're using a faster physical attacker, you can make Tateru faster by just investing some TVs. I wouldn't go faster than like 200 speed invest. At that point, I think you'd just rather have the bulk. Not sure what even is 200 speed invest. Yeah, basically like 200 speed. So like this outspeeds base speed Mashuk, base speed Owlhe and stuff. So it's there, but I don't you don't want to invest too much speed in Tateru because besides Perfect Job on tempo defense drops, it doesn't get a whole lot. Most of the time, you only want to run Perfect Job on Tateru if the Tems that you're debuffing for are already slower. Stuff like Tyrannak, Anatan, some like a Baboa without synergy, stuff like that. Otherwise, you could run like Bestial Charge instead, Held Anger, and still get good value. And this one, I don't know what it would be paired with. I literally just kind of threw it together, just kind of as an option. It's a really bad spread. I wouldn't recommend running this, really. But I mean, actually, 0 stamina invest allows a 3-turn rotation of P-Jab Major Turbo, so, and then sacrifice after. As far as bad matchups for Tateru, it's just mentals. Mentals in general. Like Sambi's the worst one because Sambi's can run Dozing Hit, which can put you to sleep and make it so that even if you survive the hit, you still fall asleep. Tateru with its bulk can take most any one mental hit, whether that's a Matter Teleport or even a Gamma Burst. But it doesn't want to take more than one. It dies to just about any, like it dies to a mental hit plus any decent neutral hit as well. So, and then like Tateru can't even hit neutrals very well. It can technically hit them with Noxious Bomb, but considering in this meta when the most popular mental is Adoro, you can't even hit it with Noxious Bomb then. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers Tateru. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.